Alright everyone, so today I wanted to share with you guys the information on how to properly roll gear in a way to save resources when it comes to building your pierce gear and your attack gear. This is really important. You're going to save yourself hundreds of anvils, millions of gold, and probably a good amount of enhancement and awakening stones. And it's important to at least start this process sooner rather than later, because if you've already built all of your attack gear, for example, for your main team anyway, and now you need a piece of pierce gear, you kind of limit yourself to not really allowing yourself to choose whether to turn that piece of gear into, one option, attack, versus the other option, pierce. By giving yourself that option of being able to turn a piece of gear into two things that you both are going to need, then it really eliminates a lot of the cost in resources. And you're going to probably want at least one piece of pierce gear for a lot of characters that really benefit by having a ton of pierce. So let's actually head into my gear inventory here, and I'm going to be working on a piece of gear as an example here, and it's going to be an SSR bracers. And of course, between the bracers and the ring, these are both the pieces of gear that can roll attack-based stats, because they've got the attack basic stat. You want to work on the bracers first, of course, because those are going to have the higher basic stat. Now, I would also suggest that you work with bracers that have a preliminary basic stat roll of somewhere in the top 10 to 20%. An option that's available if you guys are free to play and you want to save anvils and instead use awakening stones is what you can actually do. I have an entire separate video about this, is farm out a lot of bracers, and then whatever the ones that roll the top basic stats are, just roll the very first stat and see what it is. And essentially what you're doing is, instead of using anvils to reroll the first stat, you're just rolling new bracers in that place. So every set of new bracers is essentially like using 5 anvils. Now, of course, there are downsides to this strategy. You have to do a lot of farming with stamina. You have to get bracers that have decent basic stats, but it cuts back on some of the anvils. So that's one option out there to start things off. If you just want to do it the normal way and reroll all the bonus stats, that's totally fine as well. But I've got a bracer here that's got all of my stats unlocked on it, and as you can see, 3 of them are just no good. We do not want crit chance, we do not want crit damage. Pierce rate and attack, good, and we've also got 1 of each here. So now what we're going to do is I am not going to be rerolling the pierce rate or attack. If you are a whale, some whales are really only going for top tier stats. As a free-to-play player or somebody who doesn't spend a lot, I would say for the time being, while you're working on your main gear sets, once you've unlocked the actual stat that you are looking for, don't do rerolling on it. There's 2 reasons why. Obviously, it's very expensive in terms of anvils. You could lose the stat that you just unlocked, but also hammers are going to be introduced in the future, and those are going to allow you to reroll the actual percentage stat that you have. Like if I wanted to get a higher pierce rate, I could without actually losing the possibility of having pierce rate in that slot right there. So, that's going to be up to you though. If you're a big spender, you can do that, but I wouldn't really recommend it much for people who are not big spenders. So what we're going to do here is we're going to reroll the worst of these 3 stats that are not pierce rate and not attack. And we're going to go with this crit damage here, and we're going to go until we either get pierce rate or attack. So one of those 2 right there. And we got pierce rate right off the bat. Actually a pretty solid roll too, 4.9%. Definitely cannot complain about that. So now what we have is we have 2 pierce rate rolls and we have 1 attack roll. So what we're going to do, this is kind of the defining roll right here, right? So I'm going to still reroll the 2 stats that we don't need, which is crit chance and crit damage. I'm really paying attention here to what I get. Am I going to get pierce rates, or am I going to get attack? And this is going to be the defining, moment here, because if I get pierce rate, now I'm going to commit myself to a pierce bracers. If I get attack, well, then I have to decide on the very last roll. It's going to be even match, right? We got 2 pierce, we got 2 attack. That last roll is going to be the deciding factor. But if I get pierced one more time, we are done, and now this is going to be committed to a pierce rate bracelet. Now, I will also say, a lot of people are probably going to ask the question, like, what if I get a godly attack roll, and I can't take it off. I can't do it. It's like a perfect attack, and I don't want to re-roll off of it to get pierced and maybe get a really bad pierce rate. That's totally fine. You can have some attack with your pierce rate. Just keep in mind, attack is universal. All units are going to benefit from attack, However, not all units are going to benefit from Pierce rate. So you have to kind of keep that in mind when it comes to like what you're deciding to do with rerolling. And if you only have certain units that are going to use Pierce, then obviously you can't use a bracelet that's got, you know, a mix of attack and Pierce on it, because they're not going to benefit from the Pierce. Anyway, let's go ahead and reroll this crit chance and see what we get. Oh, we got crit chance again. That's not good. And these are, you know, 5 anvils hurts a little bit. Oh, there we go. Okay, wow. Ooh, that is a hefty roll right there. Ooh, just perfect. I mean, this is the first time I've been recording this too. So, man, what a great example for this video, and what a great roll right there. So, this is exactly what I was just talking about right here. And we are at that defining moment now. So, I've got 2 pierce rate rolls, and I got 2 attack rolls, right? But I have a perfect attack roll. So, I mean, it's very unlikely that I'm going to reroll off of this attack. Not anytime soon anyway. But I still might try to go for, you know, Pierce. If this right here rolls on Pierce, I'm still probably going to roll off the actual 2.3% attack and try to get Pierce on that. And I'll just leave it with the 3% perfect roll that I have on it. But let's see here, because we are at the defining moment. It's 2 versus 2. Let's see what this crit damage rerolls into. And we got ourselves attack. Wow, that is a very, very nice roll right there. So now you can see that these are going to just become attack bracers, right? Because we have a perfect attack roll. We've got a 2.6% attack roll, 2.3%, and now it's 3 to 2. We've got 3 attack rolls, and we've got 2 pierce rolls. So now this bracer is, you know, being overwhelmed by attack, and I could just turn it into that. And that's good too, because, you know, attack is obviously more universal. I could use it on other champions. Now, Pierce is, you're going to want probably at least 1 Pierce set for Pierce-based champions, but you do have to keep in mind, very importantly, it's very niche. You can only use it for champions that really benefit from Pierce rate. So let's go ahead and reroll. Always, when you reroll stats, you reroll the worst one. Now, if I was really low on anvils, I could technically keep this as it is right now and still throw it on a couple of my champions. But, you know, I've got the anvils to work with here, so I'm just going to even it out with attack and leave it as an attack bracer. But if I did get Pierce on that last one right there, what I would do is I would then probably roll over the lower attack stuff. And you can also see why this is something you want to start earlier, because look at how many options I've given myself now. I haven't even burned through a ton of anvils, because both Pierce and attack are good and things that I can work with. Instead of only aiming for one of the 4 substats, I'm now aiming for 2 of them, and that just makes the math way, way bigger in our favor. And if you've already built all your attack sets, for example, you can't do this, because now you don't need really more attack sets, and you have to specifically aim for Pierce, and you just essentially, you know, you're wasting resources if you don't at least start on this earlier and give yourself those options. So let's re-roll this here. And we're going for attack. So we're going to probably burn through a few anvils here, but that is a-okay. That's what they are for. And, you know, in the future, more gearing videos, I will talk about the exact order that you want to work on gear and all that sort of stuff, because gear is quite complex. So got a pierce roll there, but it's pretty much exactly what it was before. So I'm just gonna keep going here. We're just going for universal attack now at this point. Yeah, bracers are easily going to be the #1 priority that you want to work on, because, oh, there we go. We got that attack roll. Ooh, that's a brutal one, though. That's a brutal one, but it's still attack. We can always use hammers later on. It's fine. And, like, again, I could end up keeping this pierce roll, but, you know, I'm setting myself back if I use these bracers on a unit that doesn't benefit from pierce. So, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and re-roll these over here to attack, and we're looking at a cost of 20 anvils on average. Ooh, oh man, it's painful, but, you know, we've got 4 attack rolls and 1 pierce roll. That's just not going to work, unfortunately, so I'm still just going to go for attack, so I can be 100% universal and use this on any unit that I want. It always comes with a bit of pain. That's the process of re-rolling gears. There's always a little bit of pain. There we go, and it was a nice roll to end it off there. 2.4%. I mean, what did that cost? 100 or so anvils? Actually, I wasn't keeping track, which is probably not good. But, hey, 11.5%, which is pretty decent. to kind of end things off here. And hopefully you guys are kind of able to go through some of my thought process when it came to these bracers, to know how to approach it so that you will be able to give yourself that chance to turn some of your gear into Pierce gear if that's kind of the way that the rules are in favor for you. So, you know, obviously this 1.2% hurts. If I wanted to go whale mode, I would definitely keep it rolling it, but I'm just going to wait for hammers, and I've got plenty of other gear to work on in the meantime. So, anyway, I think that's going to be it. I've thrown a lot of info and kind of thought process type stuff in the video today, so hopefully you guys enjoyed. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments section. But that's going to be it. So thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed it, you want more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Feel free to leave a quick like as well. It means more than you can imagine. So thank you so much to all of you who do that. And more 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross Global videos should be popping up on the screen right about now. Feel free to check them out. But if not, until next time, take care everyone. And this is Salt of the Salty Guild signing out.